Hey everyone, how low can they go? Pretty damn low if you ask me. This is in reference to CBC, right? CBC, right? If you think about it, if you pay attention to CBC, you know that if you're a woman, like a feminist, right? Or even just a woman, predominant. Well, no, feminist, right? Progressive, LGBTQ, uh, illegal immigrant, um, people from different cultures. Basically, yeah, that cohort. Then you're promoted. Black Lives Matter, right? There's so many special interest groups and so many different subsects of society that the folks, the supposedly empathetic folks at the CBC, they constantly love to talk about and promote. Aboriginals, right? Constantly First Nations people. They're always, oh, look, we got to feel so terrible on how these people have been oppressed and da 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 da. And I mean, usually I'm with them for the most part, right? But notice the discrepancy here. This was done for, this is a CBC thank you for St. Patrick's Day. And think about how many Irish, this is the part that kills me as an Irish, someone of Irish heritage. Do you know how many Irish and Scottish people were, I don't care if you call them indentured servants or servitude or slavery, but were basically serfs to the ruling class that built not just Canada and the US, a lot of even, old world Europe, right? Especially Great Britain and places like that. And what thanks do you get? Here's the thanks you get all these years later. And of course, it's being offered by the Associated Press, so you can't point to a particular person or individual, right? This is how these collectivists fucking do it. So, anyways, myth of Irish slavery promoted by white supremacists ahead of St. Patrick's Day. Debunked claims stems from 2008 column posted on Canadian website that promotes conspiracies. So, think about just already. Myth of Irish slavery. So they're already making it so that wasn't real. Promoted by white supremacists. So they're already pure derogatory statement on that one, right? On St. Patrick's Day, which, I mean, if you're Irish or Scottish, you're pretty white. And they're saying debunked claim stems from a 2008 column posted on the Canadian website that promotes conspiracies. So conspiracies, myth, and white supremacists. That's what the CBC wants to take you. So, like I say, while they'll promote LGBT, right, or the trans community, so that you're forced to use particular pronouns when reference them, the snowflakes, right, the social justice warriors, Antifa, Black Lives Matter, Muslim groups that are saying that, yeah, we're against infidels like white people and we want to kill them and dominate them. And so all those people get promotion, special attention, and praise from CBC. But the Irish that built this fucking country, yeah, no, you're just a bunch of lowlifes. That's what they were saying to you. Just read the article, in which you know damn well I'll be posting a link to this one in this video. But think about that, just that before I even get into the article. Think about what they're saying to you, right? I mean, if that ain't a fucking kick in the nuts, I don't know what is. Hundreds of thousands of Irish people were not transported to the America as slaves, despite nearly decade-old claims circulating anew online in the run-up to St. Patrick's Day. The false articles trending on social media as Ireland's national holiday approaches Friday typically reprint entire sections from a comprehensively debunked 2008 column posted on a website that promotes conspiracy theories. None of the articles contains credible sources for dozens of invented and misrepresented figures and events. The articles usually claim, for example, that King James II of England in 1625 ordered thousands of Irish prisoners to be sent to the West Indies as slaves. Historians say no evidence of any such directive exists, and James II wasn't born until 1633 and didn't gain the throne until 1685. Reputable historians agree that the social media-driven reports deliberately conflate the extremely different contexts and conditions of African slaves in European indentured servitude. Now we're getting to it. So they're trying to make a distinguishable difference between African slaves and European indentured servitude. Okay? And I'll read on just to give you what they're fucking trying to find the differences, right? Analysts have noted that the reports gained particular traction among white supremacist sites and commentators seeking to downplay the evils of slavery. They're just trying to point that they're not, holy fuck. The enslavement of Africans involved abductions, human sales at auctions, and lifelong forced labor in a system that defined humans as property and trapped the children of those slaves in the same bondage. Indentured servitude, while often accompanied by years of deprivation and exploitation, offered a usually voluntary means for impoverished British and Irish people to resettle in the Americas from the 17th century to the early 20th century. Contracts committed the servant to perform unpaid labor for a benefactor of employer for a fixed number of years in return for passage across the ocean, shelter, and substance. So how the fuck is that any different than slavery, right? Let me read this again. While often accompanied by years of deprivation and exploitation, offered a usually voluntary means for impoverished British and Irish people to resettle in the Americas from the 17th century to the early 20th century. Contracts committed the servants to perform unpaid labor for a benefactor or employer for a fixed number of years in return for passage across the ocean, shelter, or subsistence. So, right, I'll let you live on my land. You got to work for me for free. Give me free labor for so long, right? So they're saying that, no, there might be some small distinguishable difference between that and like going to a country of Africa. But in reality, we all know actually that it was the African lords or tribe leaders or whatever the fuck they were called back in the day. But go ahead. If you don't want to believe what I can say, look it up. You'll find it yourself. But they were the ones that sold the British or other imperialists the slaves, right? So there was some wheeling and dealing going on there too. Don't fucking think for a minute there wasn't. And we all ended up, when we landed in this country at some point in the stage of the game, we all eventually tried to create real freedom for ourselves. So just because there's various levels, right? So whether it's indentured servitude or full-on slavery, like I said, it goes back to if they steal 90% of your income or 100%. Really? Is that how we measure things nowadays? Because in reality, people like myself, libertarians, anarchists, volunteers, critical thinkers, the way you avoid any of that completely is zero. You can't steal any of my income, period. I don't know pretense. I don't know fucking false pretense or obligation, therefore. Now, if I offered you that I'm going to work for something and it's a mutually agreed contract, right? But it doesn't mean I'm going to work for free. Of course I'm not going to work for free. I'm going to want to be compensated, just like the Irish back in the day. So they're trying to make some small distinguishable difference between African slaves and Irish, but they paint it as a way to make it so the Irish, fuck, you guys quit your fucking whining, right? That's what they're trying to say. I'm not going to finish this whole article because, as you can see, it's already got me a little bit hotter under the collar. And I guess it's probably because I got that Irish blood flowing through my fucking veins, man. So it's very infuriating because I know damn well the history of the Irish. Okay? And whether you want to call them indentured servants, serfs, or slaves, it's a distinguishable difference that means nothing to those that have had to suffer under these indignities. And the fact that CBC at this very time of the year when the Irish, and if you listen to the Irish, you're not even, you won't see a whole bunch of articles coming out, we want fucking reparations. You're not even hearing any whining from the Irish, right? Or anyone saying, we got to fucking get some government money. We got to force people to pay for reparations. No one's even saying that. Actually, Irish like to go out and just have a few drinks, get into a couple fights, right? And then just enjoy the day. So nobody's even bitching or whining. They're just trying to celebrate it. But once again, the CBC, the folks at the CBC and the Canadian press are even trying to squish that. They're even trying to fucking, rain on that particular parade. This is the people that we're dealing with. These are the control freaks and sociopaths that are flourishing and are propagated in the political and media landscape in this country. Pay attention, Canada, especially if you're Irish, Scottish, or anyone else. White, I don't care what the fuck color you are. Stop fucking dividing yourselves between your race, your culture, or your heritage, and start recognizing you're all the ones being oppressed by central planners, control freaks, and sociopaths. Those who represent government, right? Show some solidarity amongst each other instead of fighting to figure out who can get the fucking power of the gun to force it against and use it against everyone else. Right? If you want to wrestle for control of that gun, the mysticism of force and government, use it and throw it in the river so nobody's power over each other, right? Throw that shit so far, shoot it into space so far nobody has power over each other. That's literally what it comes to. And this is an Irish, well, I'm Canadian, but of Irish and Scottish heritage. And I'll tell you right now, I'm not looking for any power. And most Irish people that I know of, go look at a Newfie. You know how many fucking Irish people? Newfies are predominantly Irish. Are they fucking people that want to control, dictate, and manipulate your life? No, they're just people who want to have fun, go along, get along, work hard, play hard, work hard, have fun, and, you know, eventually we know we'll all be 6 feet under someday, right? It's Canadian Libertarian, and I love liberty.